Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. This is going to be the ultimate best Spencer build. I've already made a video on this build, similar, but this is, I would say, is probably the perfected version, so I'm going to show it again. Um, so Spencer, right? Let's go cover the build here. It's going to be a trap build. It's the same idea as Alex. That's why it's so good. However, the deck here is really important, so I'm going to show the deck is similar, but it's not the same as Alex. So I'll show you the difference here. First perk, we're using the disintegration field, the what's the name? Refract. So you could try anything here, honestly. Like you could try this. You can. I personally think the best options are either the last one, the refract, or the generator. Like in general, for any kind of build, these two I think would be. This is kind of dumb. I don't think it's a good idea. The two clone here. So either one of these two. This build is good. The generator is good for when you're playing a build that you're just spamming a lot of shit, because then you can get a lot faster the thing, and you can use it a lot more often to get downs and stuff. Especially, but this thing only works if you're combining with the immobilizing round. Because just using the shield randomly like that is not going to get kills. But if you're using combining with the immobilizing round or something else, it becomes effective. In this build, because I'm not using the immobilizing round, even though I'm going to be spamming a lot of cards, that's the reason why I'm not using this generator, and I recommend actually using the refract, because then you're able to guarantee you some kills and snowball on top of those skills on the pressure on the survivors. So I recommend the refract as the best option here for this build. And the second perk here is the umbrella tech deadbolt. So when you lock doors, they become level 3 immediately, and for every card you use, you're reducing the ES cooldown, which essentially means you're going to be able to lock the door again when the ES completely recovers from the cooldown. So every trap you use is going to reduce by 1 second, and you're going to be using a lot of traps very quickly. So. And this also combines with finally the last perk, which is recharge. Okay, back. So I guess there was a little cut on my mic there. So going back, like I was mentioning, the deadbolt, and then following the deadbolt, we have the recharge. The combos really well with the deadbolts, because not only when you reduce the cooldown, it means you can use the recharge again. Essentially, one feeds the other kind of way. So because you need the ES to be fully active for you to use the recharge. So essentially, you're using doors and light switches to get energy back, and then they're gonna go into the cooldown, and this is when this is gonna come in play. When you're using the cards, it's gonna reduce that cooldown, so then you can keep recycling. So they really synchronize pretty well here. This is gonna reduce the time, so you can use this to get more energy. So that's why this is important for this build. Now for the special cards, right here, none of this is really useful. They're actually gonna, like, all of these cards are actually they're actually gonna mess up with your build. All of them is gonna mess up with your build. This one, the zero cost, is just the one that's gonna mess you up less. So that's why I'm using it instead of the other ones. But ideally, you would not use any of these. Ideally, I'll show you why. And that's why I have the quick draw on my deck as well as you see later, because of this stupid card here. But moving on, then we have hypercharge. So in area 3 is gonna be insane how fast you can spawn things. Because everything's so cheap, you're never really out of energy. I would say it's probably the best option out of these as well. These are the cards. Now moving on to the equipment. So first we have the Lucas special, which is on the oops, I took it off. It's on the trap section here. Where is it? The last one, Lucas special. It moderately decreases the time needed to arm traps, and it moderately recharges by energy. So essentially, when you hit the survivor, it's going to give you a bit of by energy when you hit them with the traps, which obviously we're going to be using a lot of them. And it moderately decreases the time it needs them to arm. So it means when they become active, like you plant them on the floor, how much time it takes for them to actually manually blow them. It reduces that by moderately. So that's meant to combo as well with these other two, which is the inductor 3 and 2. So this is moderately decreases the time needed to arm. This is greatly reduces the time needed to arm, and this is moderately. So it's all stacking. I think with these three together, it becomes only 1 second for the trap to be fully active. 1 second, which is pretty much nothing. So I think you could try switching, for example, this for this moderately inductor for the cable here, which I'm already using, the electric cable. And this makes it so you can blow the trap faster manually, but then they take a little longer to be active for you to blow them up. So I think out of the two, the best is definitely having the fast activation. Okay, I think that takes the priority here. And then finally we have the activation here, the utility cable, which is going to allow us to blow the traps faster than normal. Okay, so that's the equipment. Now going for the deck finally. This red green mod is meant to combo with this, the electric cable. This is also another reason why I think this takes priority, the inductor, because we already have the red queen mod to help. Whereas if we take this off, we have no mod to help, you know. So that's also another reason. We have the discount for traps, so the traps are cheaper. We're also going to use discount here, as you can see, to combo with this, so we get a -2 cost total. And these traps are really important. These are the ones you want to use. These four are the crucial ones. This trap is really just for the damage and the fact that it's really cheap. But it's more because of the damage, so you can actually down them. And these three are the best, the ones you want to be using all the time, because they have the big range of effect, so you can make the most with them, you know. Fortunately, those are the only three that have a big range of effect. The other ones are really just like normal range. The shield is so if they try to shoot your camera while you're using the traps, you can defend yourself. You see that on the matches that I'll show you guys soon, after the explanation here. And this is really kind of a... You can use either the tracking mine. The reason for that is because it's cheap. I mean, you could even try to use... Where is it? This thing right here. The discount. But I personally rather just use... Because then you can use the discount for these traps right here, which is these three main ones, the best ones. They're really expensive. You can use a discount with them. But because you have the quick draw and this card right here, it kind of screws up the... You see, it kind of screws up, so it's best to have the... I think personally it's best to have another trap here, which is the tracker mine. I'm using it just because it's cheap, okay? I'm not using this, for example, because it's way too expensive. You're going to drain your whole energy, so it's not worth it. That's why I'm using the tracker mine here. And also because, remember, every time I use the card, it reduces the cooldown for my my EIS, so I can lock doors. So it's good that it's a cheap card, so I can use it very quickly all the time, instead of having to wait for my energy to recharge. And the quick draw is simply because it's not only a filler here, but it's also because I want to get rid of this card when I get it. Because otherwise, if you don't have a quick draw and you use this, for example, you can get like a 8 cost card. Like you can get a liquor, for example, or something, which is so expensive. And that's gonna drain all your energy because you're not gonna be able to get rid of the card out of your hand if you don't use it. So it just keeps, you know, clunks your hand. It's just so bad. So that's why I have the quick draw there. So when I get this damn thing, I can just hold it on my hand until I get the quick draw, so I can get rid of it. Because we're gonna have 2 mods, so there's only gonna be two active cards on our hands. So there's gonna be either when I get it, it's gonna be the quick draw and this card right here, and then I can switch it around. I can also switch the quick draw with the shield if I don't need it. So if I have this shield at the wrong time, I can use quick draw to switch the shield for a trap, you know, or a discount for that matter. Another option here, which I'm going to show in the games, is you can use, instead of the tracker mine, you can use, where is it, the clone, and that way you can clone these, like I mentioned, which is the ones you want to be using all the time. So when you get them, you can use the clone on them, so you can use them repeatedly. But that's going to drain a lot of energy. So I know this is going to drain a lot of energy, so it could be a little bad in that sense. You're going to be kind of out on energy. You must be using... It's hard because you're usually focused on using the traps, but it's good if you can focus on also using the recharge, not just placing the traps. And you see that on the games. But the recharge can compensate for the fact that it becomes too... You know, it's very expensive. Like, for example, you waste 4 to use this, and then you use the clone, you're already wasting another 5. So it's pretty much all your energy gone right there to use the traps 2 times. So it's pretty expensive, even with all the discount here. So that's why I personally switched to... I think it's better if you use the because you're going to be cycling the deck so fast that you know, you're still going to get these pretty often, these 3 ones. So guys, that's the build. Let's go for the games now.
Okay, guys, so now for the games. Now the first 2 matches are going to be really quick, and I think the last 2 matches were the little bit harder ones. But every match is going to showcase something. That's why I'm showing her specifically these games, because I meant to show something with each. So this game, I think the first one here is really just to show the potential of the build and how much you can do with it. So as you can see here, I'm setting up the traps ahead. You see how I set up traps in front of her and then behind her? Because as she was paying attention to the ones in front of her, I was blowing up the one behind her, and she had nowhere to go. Because if she goes back, she hits the one by the trap that's behind her. If she goes forward, she's gonna get hit by the traps that are in front of her. So this is the first idea of the build. You really want to use the doors, especially when they group up like that. Is so good. You see how I can also like place like at least like 3 traps or 2 before they even get up from the floor from a stun like that. So notice the order as well. Notice how I use the tracker mine first before I use the air mine. That's it's very ideal that you combine the order as well. And as you can see, that was mostly just those 3 traps that I mentioned that are the high what's it called, the range area of effect. As you can see, like literally everyone got down. If they stay together like that, you know, especially when you get you cycle your hand like that, where you get the 3 key traps. But that's the idea. You see how I especially when I combine the traps as you place them, like I placed like 3 together before I actually blew them, because then you're essentially combining the effect of all of them. Just don't try to combine the air mine with the explosive ones. Try to combine explosive ones with the other explosive ones, because the explosive one is going to blow up the air mine, and you're not going to get the effect at all of the. So you're essentially just wasting your air mine, unless you try to blow the air mine first, and after all the effect is done, then you go for the explosion. That would work, but mostly you want to combo the explosive traps with other explosive traps, like you saw me doing there. And the shock one works as well. The one that shocks them. This one right now in my hand. That one also works with the explosive ones in combination. Now again here, I was trying to, kind of set up ahead a little bit, but I don't think it's actually gonna work very well. She's a little smarter. You see how she made enough room there to not get hit by the trap. So you don't have to like set up early like this. And notice as well the recharge, how I'm setting it. You see this gen wasn't so attentive to the trap that was right there. It's just to focus on the camera, and that's why I have the shoot, as you can see there. You hold that in your hand in case they try to destroy it, then you can just use your shield to protect your camera. And right there, as you see, if it gets clunky in my hand, and especially if I already have the shield active, I can use the quick draw to roll it. Just like that, she's dead. From pretty much a cycle of cards there, was a single cycle. Now, one thing that I'm kind of doing wrong here, and this is also to showcase that this build, unless they shoot the camera, you really cannot save anyone. It's pretty much impossible, because it takes too long to heal. I can easily place a trap and blow up before they finish the heal, as you can see there. And that allows me to combo even more, depending how many energy I have. Now, the mistake that I'm doing here is that I should be using the recharge. You see, right now I just use it, but there's other doors that I could be closing at this very moment that I'm not closing, So that's something that's a little hard, but you want to pay attention to, is how well, because you still need to be using your recharge, even though you're placing so many traps all the time. It's good if you're also at the same time placing your recharge. And as you can see there, you just can't heal against this build. You need to shoot the camera. But, for the position that she's in, even if she destroys this camera that I'm watching right now, I can still have this camera right behind her, so it's a bit of a tough deal if you go down to this build, and especially when there's, like, many cameras around the area. Now, I understand most of these builds are kind of broken, but, I'm just trying to show, I'll be truthful to the title, which is the best build. So best build for me means winning. So if you're winning all the time, that's definitely the best build. And you see, I mean, just like that, the time also eats away like crazy, especially if you're hitting multiple survivors with a single trap. You're taking like 5 seconds for each hit. So if you hit like 2 survivors, that's like 10 seconds just gone like that with a single trap. So, and as you can tell there as well, how the hitting them with the mines also gives me a little bit back of my energy, so like it helps, using it more and more often. Now this match was a good example. I was not using the recharge so much, but you can still use the recharge on top of that. If you need energy, you can quickly like press the R1 and whatnot to switch the cameras quickly. Just close the door, a light switch or something, and come back quickly to the area that you were looking before. That way, you can easily get your energy back, especially because from using this many traps, you remember the cooldown of the EIS reduces every time you use a card. So if you're just spamming like that, you can easily, relock the doors, and especially the light switches are gonna recover super quickly. Now you see again, this is especially a strategy. Again, the door. The door is not just for the cooldown, but also for holding them. It's a big strategy here as well. As soon as they open the door, you can always hit them with the trap. And you see, they haven't even left the first door yet, and they already lost a minute there, as you can tell on the clock. Now, luckily there she was able to walk away from the trap. Now she wasn't too fast, so fast. And I'm gonna push her. You see right there, she went back inside. so I can relock her just like that. And now she has to deal with the door again, which is gonna waste more time. And if she opens again, I can still blow her up in another time. It's kind of a cycle. You see, just like that. If you sometimes they just walk up to it because it activates so quickly. You see, I'm placing the trap on the one that's stunned. You know, that single stun allowed me to use. You see, no, notice how I did not try to combo the two traps there because that's an explosive one. I can't combo that with the air one. You know, it's gonna the explosive one is gonna blow up the air. It's not worth it. So I need to use the air first, and then I use the explosive one. And see again, close her inside, and now she's in big trouble. Unless it's a Tyrone that like breaks the doors and things like that. It's a really hard deal to deal with the doors like this. You see, like there, like 15 seconds for a single trap. Use the quick draw right there. You saw I quickly use the recharge to get my energy. I was like zeroed, and now I'm back to 4, and I can go back to using my traps. And now when they're in the corners like this is the best scenario because you can easily like kind of lock them in and just keep throwing traps. Usually they will go down from a situation like this unless they have a nerve or something like that. She kind of lagged out there. He was able to leave the corner. And again, now I'm kind of setting up early, and see how I'm gonna use the doors again, because you can use the doors from both sides. Like I could like place the traps where they're actually trying to open the door, or I can place the traps on the opposite side of the side that they're going to go into after they open the door. You know, but both of those work. And you see, because of the clone, this is the version with the clone that I mentioned. And you see how I can keep like repeating the same explosive, the super high effective cards because of the clone. However, this is a little bit more expensive, so I don't know, man. It's kind of a. I feel like the other one might just work better without the clone because it's a little bit cheaper. You can definitely keep up the pressure a little easier, especially if they don't go down like you see right now. They haven't gone down yet because they're using so many green herbs to be able to keep up that health. And see, they still managed to get to area 2, but the time is just ticking away like crazy. So 35 seconds, you know, they have less than, I think, what, 3 minutes here? Yeah, they have less than 2 minutes actually. So it's pretty much, you know, guarantee a win at this point. Unless I actually like try to let them, you know, or screw up really badly. So you see, this is the problem when you have the 0 card, special card. I don't want to use that because it's going to stop my energy, the special card from Daniel, even though it costs 0. So I can just keep using the other cards until I get the quick draw, and then I can just switch it like that. And I don't get punished for actually getting a card I have no intention to use. And again, when they're in the corner like that, it's super easy to make a lot of work out of it. And I mean, at this point, you know, the time is just, they don't have enough time to do anything at this point. And remember, I also have the shield. At any point, they're not trying to shoot my cameras because they're just trying to. They're so like trying to rush the objective at this point that, you know, they don't even have the time to stop and shoot the cameras. And you see again, I can just push her out with the trap there. And she's not gonna be able. I think she actually lost her power there because she was stunned during the duration, and the timer just ran out of her power. And she couldn't use the rocket launcher. So I mean, yeah, that's a good example of the why you need to the quick draw there, if so you can get rid of that special card, the dumb 0 cost special card. Because in that case, I got a 0 card from Daniel, but sometimes you can get like a super expensive card, and you don't really want to use all that energy, you know, especially because you're not gonna, you know, a creature or something is not gonna be useful, so you don't want to use that. That's why it's best to get rid of it with the quick draw. And like Alex doesn't use that, but for Spencer, this version of the build, I think needs that quick draw to be efficient. I think there was only one team that got to Area 3 against me using this build, and they had a gen that was like on the camera all the time, but even then they still lost. And that was actually that's the reason why I think the build without the clone is better, because of the match that I had against that team. Even though I won, I could tell like the energy was kind of holding me back a little bit because it was too expensive to be using the clone at the time, and they know what they're doing, so they were recovering from everything, so they were still managing to progress, and I was kind of, you know, kind of being stuck a little bit of the lack of energy. So this is the why I developed this new version, which I think is probably the perfected one, where you actually have the tracker one instead of the clone, the tracker mine, because then your energy is preserved a little bit better. But for these normal teams, you know, mostly the any of the two will do. And as you can see, I just have like a fucking like everything set up there. Valerie almost died there as well. And you see right there, you can push them away and then use it again. And you see right now how I'm using for both sides as well of the door. Especially if they don't have a Tyrone, like this build is really hard. This team that I mentioned that got to Area 3, they had like literally everything to counter this build. They had a gen that was like instantly destroying cameras. They had a full build for destroying cameras. They had a Tyrone that had the door. You know, they had a Valerie for healing. They had everything. They were playing like full meta in that team, and that's why they were able to get to Area 3 against this build. But they still lost. So it just goes to show that. And like I mentioned, I was using the clone. I thought that was holding me back a little bit. But this new version with the tracker mine should do much better if you guys try it. And you see, she did at this point. You see the shield right there again, doing this job. And you can see at this point they don't have any more green herbs. So they're just gonna keep going down at this point, unless the Valerie just healed them or something. You see right there why that trap is key. Even though she tried to dodge it, she still got hit by it because of the big area of effect. Right there, the recharge in action. My manager at 0, I can easily get some energy back and go back to the pressure. So yeah, guys, that's the build. That's a little bit how you played it. I definitely recommend you guys also watch the Ultimate Best Build for Alex, because this is a very similar build, so the playstyle was a bit of the same. Maybe I dropped a few tips there that can be useful for this build as well, and vice versa. But guys, that's the video. This is the Ultimate Best Build for Spencer, and see you guys in the next one. Take care.